And I have noticed sometimes it is easier to, should we say, not have the conversation that you deem to be not that important instead of, just being transparent about it, just due to the conflict that arises. So, and I think you touched upon the fact that you need to some degree, learn how to talk to each other. Have you got any thoughts about if someone were to make that change and there was conflict arising, what they should do?
Yeah, absolutely. I can tell you our one of the things that we did is we started to work on being able to have conversations, crucial conversations, is to ensure that we set the stage for what's happening. And so what I mean by that is that because we're not used to doing that as men, we're going to and women as well, but I focus on men's work. Is because we're not used to having these conversations. It's going to be really messy in the beginning, and so our conversation, and then still happens to this day, is that I will say to my wife, something's been bothering me. It's been on my mind. I really want to talk about it. I'm just not sure if it's going to come out great. So if you're willing to participate with me, play with me a little bit with this, and allow me to share what I have in my mind, it would really help. It would really help me work through this. She's always like, "Yeah, absolutely, let's do that." And then we just get into talking about what's important for me, what is on my mind. And as we become better at that, and so in the beginning, like I said, my wife's very purposefully driven. She knows what she wants. In some aspects, her tendencies tend to be a little bit more lean more on the masculine side. So she will be a bit more abrasive at times when the energy is high, emotions are sharp. And so we've learned to play on that. And so when those interactions were happening, then I would say, okay, and her name's Kim. I said, Kim, this is why in the past I would shut down because you're saying you want me to be open with you and have a conversation, but you're really not interested in hearing what I have to say. You want to tell me what's important for you. Oh, I didn't realize I was doing that. And so then we can get back on track and have that conversation, and vice versa. That would happen depending on who's leading that conversation. And so it's really about being able to raise the level of intimacy for us. I came across this this 5 levels of intimacy, and I really put it into communication mindset. And it's about being able for us to be the most vulnerable is really being able to share what our needs are. Because guess what we're doing as men, as anyone, we're putting our heart out on the table. We're saying, here is what I need in this relationship. And in any given moment, it can be crushed. And that's why we want to avoid conflict. So we'd rather share other people's opinions, other people's ideas. Because when I say, well, I was talking with Thomas and Thomas said this, and I really agree with that, but then it also gives me the out because that's Thomas's idea. I agree with it, but I still have an out. But when I say the exact same thing, but this is what I need, there's no backing out now. And I'm totally vulnerable. And I encourage men when they start to practice this is to don't take the biggest subject on the table. Maybe take something a little bit smaller. Maybe take something doing the dishes or taking the garbage out or something where you can practice where it doesn't end up by being a massive blowout where both of you are out of control and you can't manage that situation. You got to build into these things. We crawled before we walked, before we ran. Same thing happens in communication and how we work towards getting better at being communicators.